they think it's really cool to play high. So I go back to something else. They thank me for it later. They really do. They realize this approach, I think, works very, very, very well. I've had great success with it, and it's really, really simple. Hi, how are you today? I wanted to show you how I teach positions. So as soon as I feel like the student has a pretty good foundation with first position, and they've kind of graduated as a brand new newbie beginner, so they're able to play somewhat comfortably, they're able to hold their instrument comfortably without straining too much. It usually takes a good few months. It depends on the kid, but like 3 to 6 months, even maybe longer, 9 months to a year. And I feel like the easiest way to teach positions is to do a little bit of this. Usually happens in different ways depending on the child. They think it's really cool to play high, so I just show them how to play up high, they can move their hand, or I might let them learn a scale, so they've learned a few of the basic 2-octave scales, so they're ready for something a little bit harder, so I'll let them learn the D scale, which would take them up to third position on the E string. Or I might have like a small piece, that they're learning, and it might be nice to have, like a little bit of third position in there, or it requires it, or for some reason. So basically there are different scenarios. Maybe they might, need it for their piece or something. So then what I would do is you can do it one of two ways. Just put your hand in third position and start to get to know what those notes are, right? Or you can, play like a combination. So you'll play a little bit of the first position and go up and play a little bit of the third position, and then maybe come back down. The technical side of it, I should try to address later, but just want to give you a little reminder. Just always make sure you're moving your thumb when you're changing your hand position and your fingers go to a new place, on the fingerboard. A lot of kids, they forget to move their thumb. They just leave the thumb in one place. It gets stuck. And so the whole idea is that whatever you did in first position, you just move the entire ship over, and then all the same guys, they're working in this new location, but you take the whole ship or the whole bus. How to understand positions, it gets tricky. You don't want to get into your mind that like these notes that are going to be forever exactly the same way forever. It's not. Let's just say, the third finger on the A string, that's a D. You don't want to get it into your, thought process that like that note is always this finger, because it's not. When you're a intermediate and advanced violinist, you could use any finger for that same exact note. Actually 4 different ways. Yeah, I can think of at least 4 different ways to play that same pitch. So there's multiple ways to play the same pitches, and so you don't want to get your brain kind of stuck in this pattern that it's always going to be one way all the time. So the idea is that your hand, like your foundation, is moving all the time. Let's say you have a tape on your violin for every finger. So if you move your entire hand to the tape that your second finger was on, that is second position. If you move your entire hand, your thumb and your 1, I always say that in lesson, your thumb and your 1, if you move your thumb and your 1 to where your third finger used to be, that's third position. If you move your thumb and your 1 to where your fourth finger used to be, that's fourth position. There are like slight variations to it, like for example, fourth position on the E string, right, would be a B. But if you played B flat, that's still fourth position. So you could play, a slightly different pitches, but you're still in that position because you are, it's called a B, right? So any kind of B flat, that's fourth position. If you're in third position, your first finger plays an A, right? If you're in second position, your first finger plays a G. So now, once you understand where your foundation is, where your thumb and your 1 right, are situated, then you need to figure out all your notes from there. This is why positions books are so valuable. I like to use Whistler, introducing the positions. I use the red and pink book, and I use the blue and green book. They cover different positions, and so I find them very helpful. I never used to enjoy that sort of thing, but I find that my students do enjoy these books more than I did as a kid. So, so they don't mind doing them. Some kids, of course, don't really find too much pleasure from it, but I think many of the things that I make my students do, they thank me for it later. They really do. They realize why, there was so much value to it, and why now, after the fact, they're able to play so many, difficult things with ease, why they're able to play all this fun repertoire now that they have all this foundation laid down. You just have to think about where your first finger now lives. And so everything after that second finger is now the next note. Third finger is now the note after that. So you just want to reorient yourself. There really is no easy way of doing it. So you just have to get used to it. And once you get the idea, and get used to third position, then I really think you should quickly move on to other positions like fourth and second and fifth. Usually we find that third position and fifth position are very useful. So we tend to kind of focus on fifth position next, right? And then somewhere in there, you inevitably have to use second and fourth position, but those are the ones that typically my students don't like as much. They are harder to grasp, and there's a reason for that. I will explain it to you on a later date. But second and fourth tend to be a bit more challenging and a bit slower to learn. But I would definitely use these positions exercises. And you can also create your own exercises. I'll insert here how you might go about practicing like a positions exercise for the first time using third position. And this approach, I think, works very well. I've had great success with it, and it's really simple. So I'll share that with you. There's a few exercises I do. I'll show you two of them. Okay, one of them is just go through and take like one line and just start marking in all the finger numbers, and do it lightly, and so you can erase it, or you can just make a copy of it, and then then you can mark it up all you want. So it's really more of a mental exercise. If you're trying to play them at the same time as figuring out your fingerings, it gets very overwhelming at times. So I would literally just this one's not a good example actually because it shifts. Let me go back to something else. Okay, so this one is entirely in third position. So I would just go through and just mark all the finger numbers. Okay, I'm doing this without my glasses on. Hopefully it's going okay. All right. It's just really good exercise to do it peacefully without having the instrument in your hands. Okay. Now, so you can do that as many times as you need. Take anything and just start marking all the third position fingerings. Or I would prefer my students not just play like that. I would rather them play while they figure things out. So I would do that separately, and then maybe get a clean copy and then play them without having them. So that would be a great exercise. The other exercise I would do, I'll show you over here, is I would just circle all the first finger notes. This one is pretty straightforward because it's just staying on the A string and staying on the E string. So now when I see this, now I know based on this is a 1. So when I see a skip, right? I talk about skips and steps all the time when I'm teaching. When I see a skip, I know because that's our 1 now, that is our now home base, right? 1 is our home base. Then this one is a skip, it has to be a 3, right? And this is what I call relativity in my lessons. This is a 3, so this is a 2, right? This is a 2, so that has to be a 4. Or you can go back to your first finger and remember, here's first finger, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's fourth finger, right? If I remember first finger, then I remember this one is a 3, 2, 1. Okay, here, there's not much help here. So what I would do is I would imagine what the 1 is over here on the D string. The 1 is right here. So I do like an imaginary guy. And then I know already that one's a 2. See how simple it is? So if you use your first finger as your kind of basis, then you're going to be fine. Let's go over here to this E string area. So if I know that's a 1, then I know that has to be the 4 on the A string, you see? Because 1 is the lowest finger you can play on the E string. By default, this has to be on the A string. It's a 4, right? So if I compare this guy to this one, he's just 1 step away. So that's a 1, that's a 2. That's a 1, that's a skip, so that's a 3, right? This is a step from him. This is a skip from him, so that's a 3, that's a 2. And then this one, because I remember him, I know that's a 4. And I remember him from before, that's a 3. But if I forgot about him, I go back to this 1, 2, 3. So I know he's a 3. And then here I remember the 1 is a D right here. So that one has to be a 2. And that one has to be a 3. I'll show you a 4th position exercise because after 3rd position and 5th position, usually then you need to learn 4th position and then maybe 2nd position, or maybe 2nd then 4th. But I think my students end up using 4th a little bit more and then 2nd. I guess they come at the same time, but I feel like 4th is a little bit more and then 2nd. But of course it depends on what curriculum you're using, right? So again, we're going to try that method where we just mark in all the finger numbers. This one's kind of easy because they're all scalar, so I don't think this is a good example. I think you should pick one that's a bit more jumpy. For people who are new to 4th position, the stepping ones are great. But when you really need to exercise your skills, I would go for something more jumpy. So let's go ahead and do our 2nd exercise here. This is more jumpy, it's a little more intimidating. So first fingers, right, would be B, E, right? And then A and D. D would be over here, first finger, okay? So let's see if we find any more, right? So here's a first finger, first finger, first finger, right? First finger, first finger. Okay, so maybe you can say it along with me. What would this one be? This is 1, so 2, 3, 4, that's a 4. 4, 3, 2, that's another one that I do. I make them say it out loud. So here's another 3rd example of how you can practice it. 4, 3, 2, 1. This is right below, so that's a 4, 3, 1. This one's tricky, so I would go back to him and I would reference him. This is a 2, 3, 2, 1. It's right below 1 has to be 4 on the A string. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 1. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. That's a 4. 1, 4. And this one's tricky. I might think about my A right here. That's a 1. So that's a skip. That's a 3, right? So here's 3, 2. Based on this, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a 4. Here, that's tricky. I would reference this guy over here. That's a skip from him. So that's a 3. This is 1 step away from him. 2, 1. This is a skip. So that's 3, 1. I see another skip here. 3, 1. Step. 4, 3, 2. And then I confirm it with that one. Okay, I hope that helps. I'm going a bit fast, but I think most of you can follow. And if you can't, then that means that you might need to go back and do some of the, more basic exercises first. And then when you come back to this one, I think it's going to make a lot of sense. And hopefully it's helpful to you. Okay, so good luck to you, and let me know if you have any questions. Please, always, I appreciate all comments and all likes, and it really helps to tell YouTube that they should show my videos to more people, so I appreciate that. All right, so hope you found this helpful. Hope you have a great day. See you next time.